Live. Oh,
It's
I
got
see
girl up
the
there.
I see
Yep,
the
that's
live button. Well, fascinating.
yeah, it's
Now,
really neat. I like the StreamYard. It's so far it's been pretty good. So, but yeah, you want
will
to do
it
it? You want-
will it
you want-
pull comments and stuff from people so we can see them?
Yeah, it actually pulls comments. So like even right here, watch this. Like I'm able to just pull that up right there where you
Okay.
said something, or even where Kim Breeze was on here earlier.
Yeah, look,
And,
I have a whole article pulled up on Draft Root Beer right next to me here, and I have opinions. So Kim,
do you really?
if you're tuned in yet, or if you're watching this post, we're gonna talk Draft Root Beer. It's gonna have to happen.
We will. Gosh, I didn't pull up any notes about Draft Root Beer.
That's all right. That's all right. As long as I'm slightly more prepared than you, buddy.
Oh wow, craziness! Hey everybody, it's Chris from the Charity Board Gamer. I'm here with Jesse from Quackalope. Tonight we're going to be having some just conversations about Draft Root Beer the whole time.
I think so. I think that's accurate.
Yeah. But we're going to talk a little bit about Jesse. We're going to talk about Quackalope. We're going to talk about that amazing shirt. Show that shirt right now because, I'd rather be at Gen Con. I think everybody would rather be at Gen Con right now.
Well, it's coming up soon.
And I see that our favorite Canadian has joined.
Hello, Angelica. I'm a big fan of Angelica. She takes incredible stuff all over Instagram, does fantastic content. I've been following her since I met her and her husband back at Origins. They are just lovely human beings who I'm excited to see sometime very soon. And if not, I will drive through Canada and give all the people in Canada that I love hugs.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. Yeah, I think Angelica taught us both. Did you learn Welcome to from her too?
Yeah, we sat around the table. We had the Funkhausers, we had Angelica and her husband. We had it was me, baby Quackalope, just trying to figure out what this whole thing was. So
and we made up our own little Reese's Pieces game. Which
we did. We were throwing them across the table, catching them in our mouths, and it was something. I forget the scoring mechanic. Something had to do with eating them, but
yeah, I think
I felt good about it.
If you didn't catch them, you had to have another one thrown at you or something.
It was like multiple, like it started the chain.
Yeah, and then it was like negative points or something. I don't remember, but
I feel solid about it. It's the game that no one else will ever get a chance to play, and I think it was probably the best game I've ever played. So
it could have been. It could have been
hands down top 1 through 5. We're doing a top 10 list today. Number 1 starts with the Reese's Pieces game we invented at Origins last year with Angelica. So.
Oh my gosh, craziness! Well, all I can think of now is I want to play that again. I want to figure out how we played it. Now I want to do it next time you're here. Actually, you know what we should do the next time you're here? We do a yearly thing where we do a food fight.
Okay.
Outside in the backyard. We get a table. We get a table, Jell-O, spaghetti, mashed potatoes.
I hear what you're saying. It sounds so sticky.
Oh, you have a video of that game? Angelica, we need to see that later. Let's see here. The border is closed for a bit, so...
All right, listen, Angelica.
Did you say that in Canadian? Was that Canadian I just said?
It was very politely letting me know that I'm not invited at the moment, which is fine, but as soon as that border opens, I'm going to come give you a hug. How about that?
I'm going to try to use a Canadian accent as I read this. The border is closed for a bit. So
that is not, I'm so sorry. That is not a Canadian accent. You just got to lean into the country. You got to lean into the West Virginia.
Okay. All right. I can't lean into West. I'm not originally from West Virginia.
You live in West Virginia. I am originally from Kentucky, but I still go around barefoot.
Oh, I love walking barefoot. It's so good. You have a video of that game. We need to see that. We need to see that later. So you need to post that on Instagram or something. And then Allison Murrell. Yeah. Food fight.
Allison, hello. We're all invited. We're doing a Quackalope food fight, apparently.
Oh my gosh.
Partnered with that was Scottish. You're correct.
Oh gosh. Okay. I can do voices of like acting, like for voice acting fun stuff, but I can't do accents, I guess. I mean I can do Scooby Doo. Zoinks! Like I'm so scared, Scoob.
That's a pretty good Scooby-Doo.
Where are you? I'm over here, Raggy.
That's pretty solid.
So yeah, that's what it is. That's from reading to the kids all the time.
Just preparing. I just try voices and then they never quite succeed. Whenever I did a D&D campaign, my voice is always just reverted into like gruff talking angry person, and it's like that was not that character.
You were always like, what was it? What was the character in Critical Role? Was that, I forget, the orc type characters that we?
Yeah, he was fantastic. I don't know anyone's names, but absolutely my favorite character.
Oh, so good. So if anybody knows what we're talking about, we're just talking about random stuff right now.
I think I've successfully derailed this. So.
Oh, I expected it from the get-go, but I expect that from just having conversations. If you ever have a chance to just talk to Jesse, it's just one of those things where you can just have a good old-fashioned conversation about completely nothing or about something, and it be logical and fun and enjoyable. That's the one thing I can say.
That's a high bar. I'm going to come in there and I'm going to say that is not the case. If you ever talk with me, it is a mess of moderately directed chaos.
Love reading.
Oh, yes, Potter. Allison. Harry Potter was one of the very first books. That and Mossflower. I grew up every night with my mom reading a book to me, and that was one of the very first books that we actually completed the entire series together. So do that. That is one of the best things that I ever had when I was young.
See, I think my favorite character was Snape. That's what I want to name the next.
Well, you were wrong until the last book.
Oh, well,
yeah, that opinion was wrong until the last book. So there you go.
See, was a Mr. Potter. Celebrity isn't everything. So yeah, I enjoyed Snape a lot. But no, food fight. That's what you need to do. When you come back up here, we're going to do a food fight. We'll have Jell-O, spaghetti, mashed potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have just random food-related items. And what we'll do is we'll have plates set ahead of time.
Okay.
We'll get ready to just kind of eat, and we'll eat. And then when you ask for Harry Potter, Angelica, sorry. When we ask for somebody to pass the food to us, we actually are going to pass the food to them. So you actually throw it at them. It becomes this full-fledged food fight. And then to wash off, we use water balloons. That's how we do it.
I have visited you once, and I can already imagine this happening. So I'm down.
Yeah, so that's a yearly thing. That's an annual thing that we do. So next time you come, we will try to can the audience buffet it up before you throw down? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You start with eating.
Yeah, we're gonna eat first,
and then you throw.
Yeah, and then it just becomes an all-out brawl. So I like to have the mashed potatoes nearby because that's usually the best for throwing.
Well, what if can I just bring my own fairly dense cornbread, just so I have very directed target practice. You dip them in gravy, you get them a little soggy, and then they're great little missiles.
It would be interesting.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it.
I definitely would say that that could be a unique experience, especially the denseness of cornbread. The cornbread does sound so good right now. Now I want to go eat some cornbread.
Great. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah.
So, Jesse, tell a little bit. So, some people, hey, Isaac.
I didn't actually clap because that would be very loud, but I just mimicked the.
I'm glad that you.
By the way, I'm not normally the person being interviewed. I'm usually the interviewer, so you're gonna have to direct this because I'm not gonna give you any help.
I'm just so used to having normal conversations with you. It's so
best weird. Of luck, my friend.
So Jesse, tell us about yourself, and also, can you tell us about? Oh,
that's loud. Stop. You have to learn. The first lesson around owning rubber ducks is do not squeak them near microphones.
Oh.
Hello, Isaac. Awesome. I hope you're doing well today.
Oh, man. All right. So, yes. So, let me try to get serious now. Like we're having a serious, deep conversation. Okay. Unique New York. All right. There we go. I don't understand. I'm crazy.
Do your best.
I will try. All right. So, tell us about yourself. Tell us about Quackalope. But really, tell us about how you really got into board games. Because I mean, you and I have talked, but for people that are watching who may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I run Quackalope. We do aggressively high quality. Sorry, I had to get that duck off my shoulder. It would dive bomb it sooner or later. We do aggressively high quality video content. So gameplay reviews, unboxings. I have a background in videography. My career since college has been film and media production, predominantly in kind of the wedding and event industry, and then also with the nonprofit world. Doing, my focus throughout college was nonprofit marketing specifically. So how you tell real, honest stories in order to gain funding or gain support or create a community that is able and willing to be passionate about something. It is not just luck of the draw. It is effective and strategic, apparently. So that is what we do over at Quackalope. Me and my co-host Jan Bigas, if he's watching this or watching this later, he probably doesn't. He doesn't watch most of the content he's not in. He's busy enough on his own as it is. But we currently run everything that is happening over on Quackalope. Our main platform is going to be YouTube. We just crossed 10,000 subscribers. We've been doing pretty well there. That's been where we've put a lot of our effort into in terms of building a community. We also have a more private-facing Discord community where we've been playing. We just crossed about 1,000 members in that space. And there we play TTS, online games, interact with people. That's probably the area that I'm the most accessible. And then outside of that, we are also currently beta testing a podcast, which Jan is actually taking the full lead on. So the Quackalope podcast will be coming soon. It's just we've done 10 episodes in our Patreon so far, and we're on our second episode of the Weekly Quack, which is a collaboration with us and another content creator called the Board Game Co. So that's all the things I have up in the air. The odds are 7 or 8 of them will drop before the end of the year, but I'll still be around, at least potentially, maybe sleeping finally. As far as me, yeah, exactly. As far as me and how I got into board games, I'm fairly new to the hobby as a whole. When it comes to what we would define as the hobby, right? The board game stores and these more in-depth creative games and the Kickstarter communities and the fact that I have, a plethora of games showing up every week that I would have never heard about 2 or 3 years ago. I grew up playing your classic family games, the ones that everyone reverts back to, your Monopoly and your Sorry and your Trouble and your Risk. I was a giant fan of the idea of Risk. I could just never trick anyone into playing with me, which, because I'm the kid that wanted to spend 17 hours moving little pieces across a board and slowly conquering my enemies. Despite the fact that it resorts down into a moderate amount of dice rolling and a significant amount of luck, which I am apparently also terrible at. The biggest thing for me would be we grew up with board games being a central part of how we connected with each other as a family. So when I was young, Spoons over the holidays, Catan as I got a little bit older, Head and Foot is a card game that we always played at my grandparents' house. I'm actually working on a video right now for the main channel about how to play Head and Foot, which I'm sure is going to have a moderate amount of controversy because that card game, every family has their own version of how to play it.
We have 2 different versions of it, and we call it Hand and Foot here. So yeah, it
is supposed to be called Hand and Foot. We call it Head and Foot. My grandfather calls it Hoof and Mouth. There's a whole mix of names for it as well. So I grew up with that sense of community being a thing. But how I discovered and how I grew into the board game space is I moved to I followed my girlfriend at the time to Washington D.C. She was working on her PhD, and so I was I followed along to help support her and just be part of that structure that we had. And during that time, I found that I was really disconnected from the community there in DC. I was working a lot and always been very good at work, but I'm very bad at the social element of things. I mean, surprisingly enough, if you throw me into a room and you give me 100 business cards and you tell me to go tell every single person what I do, or you give me a camera and you said take a portrait of every single person, I will do that, and I will do it with all of the charm and grace and whatever else I have in me. But if you toss me into a room and you say, "Hey, just make a friend and go sit down and play a game with them," I will go sit by myself in the corner because I am so uncomfortable with if I don't have a thing to do, I get very nervous and very awkward and very uncomfortable. And that was the case. I didn't know how to connect with DC. And so I was listening to Critical Role at the time, which we referenced a little bit earlier. And I Googled and I found that Labyrinth Games and Puzzles in Washington, D.C. was hosting a beginner's game, a little one-shot of D&D. And I loved the podcast, and I was like, maybe I'll go try. And so I signed up. I paid, I think, the $15, showed up to play, and I was awkward and nervous and so very uncomfortable because it was so directly out of my comfort zone. And sat down and had did not lean into the role playing as much as I would now, now that I'm more confident in myself, but like had an incredible time, and the idea of that storytelling world hooked me immediately. And so from there, I discovered Kingdom Death Monster, and then I reverted back, and now I'm going backwards, playing all the games that I skipped in between a intro D&D game and Kingdom Death Monster.
Yeah, and you I think when you came here, you were wearing your Kingdom Death shirt. Yeah,
I've probably got 18 of them or so. My wardrobe predominantly now consists of either black Kingdom Death shirt or black Rubber Ducky shirt. It's one of the two. Granted, today I'm not wearing that, but
no, and it's a beautiful shirt though. It's a beautiful shirt that you're wearing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So the main thing that we were wanting to talk about today was, of course, about Breast Cancer Research Foundation, the BCRF, and how it's both affected both of our lives. But I really, one thing that, trying to think of the way to say it. One of the things that
we just got serious all of a sudden.
I know.
Why didn't I bring in that duck charity I was planning on bringing in the entire time?
I know.
Instead, I had to do something I care about.
I can't believe him. He decided, okay, so we've been talking about doing this duck charity for like, I don't know how long. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I get this message saying, I think we're going to go ahead and talk about Breast Cancer Research Foundation. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Oh. So, but yeah, but cancer in itself sucks. But we want to talk about something that is close to both of our hearts.
Sure.
And Jesse, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about your story, your mom, why it's so important to you, and let's just keep the conversation going. And no, Allison, Hand and Foot is actually a card game. It is not.
Look, we're on the search for a cure for Hand and Foot currently, and so we will discover the solution sooner or later. Yeah, it's a card game. It's actually it's a game that's played with a deck of card for every person around the table plus one, and it comes down to drawing and drafting and trying to build a tableau. It's a set collection game if you really boil it down with a little bit of luck. I'll have a video on it soon, I promise.
Yeah, and there's a great iteration of it by Grandpa Bex, which is Antiquity Quest. Have you played that one yet?
I haven't. No.
Okay. So all right, back to serious. No, it's so hard to get serious sometimes when it's this close to home.
Well, it's it's different, right? It doesn't. And my story's a little bit more disconnected than yours to some. I mean, it's still connected, but
it's very connected.
The timeline is a little bit shifted. So, I mean, for those of you that don't know, and I don't talk about it too much, but my mom passed away when I was younger. I think I was maybe around the age of 10. I'm really bad on specifics and dates, so I'm not going to have a lot of hardcore facts or numbers directly to give people.
Amanda Panda, you're supposed to be fact checking all of this right now.
If you can, that'd be fantastic. But no, when I was younger, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer at a very young age. I believe she had it or was fighting against it, or however you want to define that, for about 7 years. And when she was diagnosed, I believe it was stage 4 already. And so by the time the doctors had found it, it was pretty much a sentence, right? It was, hey, this is probably going to be the thing that's going to kill you. It's only a matter of time. And I believe the first time that they got the news back, it was only a matter of years. And so my mom was absolutely incredible. I am grateful absolutely grateful for the time that I was able to spend with her, and the memories that I have, and all the journals and writing and stuff that she did for us to bring along with her. This is weird because I don't talk about this online very much. So this is an interesting thing that I've invited.
Keep talking to me. Just keep talking.
Sure, I know, but it's an interesting thing that I've invited myself to do. So, when she was first diagnosed, her main focus then became to be an incredible mother. And so over the course of the 7 years, when it was, what's it called when it is moving throughout the body? Metastasize?
I think so.
Yeah. So I believe whatever the official term is, her breast cancer did end up spreading to various locations. And that is what eventually led to her passing away. But throughout all of chemotherapy and all of processing and dealing with the fact that her body was in the midst of a war. She was the 3 or 4 hours that she was awake and feeling okay throughout the day. She was mine and my sister's mother. And so our context for breast cancer, or my context for breast cancer, really came after she'd passed away in a lot of ways. It wasn't, we knew there was something different. We knew that my mom's hair falling out from chemotherapy and putting tattoo stickers on her head was not the standard thing that most kids went through, but it was our context, right? And she was incredible and strong and a part of her community and a part of her church, and our mom the entire time. So I want to set that precedent. But when she got it, it was really a sentence, right? It was, we don't have the knowledge or the skill to deal with the type of cancer that you have. And the fact that it was already stage 4 and the fact that it was spreading, her focus became, be around long enough that her kids would be able to remember her. That was sort of the bill that she was given. And so the reason I wanted to bring in the Breast Cancer Research Foundation was not only because she was heavily active and involved with this organization throughout her journey, being a spokesperson for women within our community. I remember going to the parades and doing the races where you get neighbors to sign up and donate for every mile that you're able to go. I viscerally remember being there as a kid and seeing her up on stage with probably 100 other women as people who had survived, as survivors currently, right? And so this is an organization that I don't know a ton of the behind the scenes about it. I mean, I've done some digging throughout the course of this week, just preparing for this and doing research so I can actually tell people why this organization is special, what it is they actually do, how they're involved within the space. But I know throughout my mom's journey, this organization and the community that they form, not only through the funds that they give to doctors who are trying to do research and find solutions and find answers so that the next time someone is diagnosed, they don't get a response that my mom got, right? My mom was given a bill of health that said, you only have a few years. And that's a position that hopefully throughout, the next few years or the next few generations, we're able to get to a point where that isn't the answer that people are given, where they're given, hey, you have cancer, we'll need to deal with this. But luckily we're able to transform it into something that is more controllable, where we have treatments that don't affect you the same way chemotherapy does. That's the goal, right? That's the goal of the foundation. So I've talked a lot. I don't know what else to say.
I don't know. I love hearing you talk, my friend. That's all I can say is that I love having conversations with you, and so no, it's beautiful, and like was it? Yeah, Amanda's.
I'm glad to hear that, Amanda.
And Allison says, "What an amazingly strong woman give you those memories."
My mom was incredible. Hands down incredible. We went, I did all the things a kid should do. We had a backyard garden, had a herd of Jack Russells, learned how to cook and bake bread. She'd stay up doing homework with us. We went sledding in the winter. And then it wasn't till I was older that I found out that chemo and cancer and just that whole process, that battle you're facing, it wrecks you. I mean, there's no joke about how hard that is for her that she was going through at the midst of that. And so the contrast, like for me, just as someone that's older, like the contrast between what my mom must have been experiencing when I was younger, combined with the fact that the memories that I have of who she was and how she was part of her community. I'll tell you one story that will define the type of person my mom was. She during her treatments she was a musician and her career when she was younger, she was a Spanish teacher and a musician. And so she would bring her flute in to the hospital where she was getting her chemotherapy treatments. And before sitting down in the chair to do her chemotherapy, she'd partner up with a piano player. And in UK, in the University of Kentucky Hospital, they have this big, almost like an auditorium where all of the hallways connect to this open space. And so they'd sit out there and for like an hour before her treatment, they'd do an ensemble, right? And music would just flow and fill and like spill throughout the hallways. That's the type of person that my mom was. That's the type of impact that she wanted to have on the people around her in the world that she was involved with. So
that's beautiful.
She was much better than me.
You're pretty awesome too, my friend. You were pretty awesome too. But yes, your mom sounds like she was an amazing person.
She was. And it's not, it's weird because people who pass away, you always have fond memories of them and you always hold on to the good parts. But it's one of those things where it's like, ask anyone that was around her and knew her. That's the tell, right? Not just my fond memories, but
it's very true. What's your favorite memory that you have of her, even before the cancer?
If I'm going to be honest, my mom always kind of had a bald head. I remember the impact that the diagnosis had on the family because I went to my grandparents for a few months in the summer. And that is probably one of the very first like timeline memories that I have. Like I have snippets and stuff and I can piece things around. But that was a big impact on our family because my parents were foster parents. And so we had a rotation of youth throughout our house. One of which, a young lady named Jacqueline, who'd been with us for a few years at the time. And so when my mom was diagnosed, we went to my grandparents so they could deal with it and just spend the time they needed to process and take account of things. And then, Jacqueline and some of the other foster kids, it just was too much stress on the family at that point. And so we had to button down and focus. But in terms of memories before, I don't know that I have a ton where she wasn't through, like, at least going through the process. Cause I think if my memory's right, I would have been around 10 when she passed away. So around 3, well, no, my sister was born. So maybe I was a little bit older. My sister might've been a toddler. So maybe I was like 11 or something. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know specific dates. I just know memories. It would really tie, I think, to the thing that we mentioned earlier, the fact that Harry Potter and Mossflower and those books were some of the very first things that we read together. So my mom would always read about a chapter of a book to me at night. And so when I was younger, I was able to read and hear stories that I didn't have the capacity to actually read yet. Like I couldn't have sat down and read Harry Potter on my own, but I could sat down and listen. I could curl up in the bed next to her and listen to her reading it. And in terms of impacts on me or impacts on the type of person that I've become, anyone that knows the content that we do knows that I love storytelling. It's why I love board games. It's how I view the world. I've always wanted to be a writer or be the type of person that does audiobook readings. Like that's still a career dream of mine, is to be a narrator. And I love reading flavor text, and I've found ways to celebrate that. And I think a lot of that probably ties back to the fact that as a kid, a love for reading and a love for books and a love for just a love for stories is one of the things that kind of bound us together. And so those would probably be some of my most fond memories. And when or if I ever have a family, that is something that I fully intend and would encourage anyone to replicate. To spend time like reading books and sitting down with their kids and just got me into D&D. It did, Jocelyn. My love of storytelling hopefully will infest other people with a love for storytelling and narratives and adventures. So
yeah, and I love it when you do your videos. One of the big things that you always make it a point is to read the flavor text.
I like flavor text, and honestly, if I could just do videos, I've tried to just do videos where all I do is read the flavor text and they don't get as much love. So I do all the extra stuff just to trick people into listening to me read them stories.
That's true. It'll be like, hey, this video looks like a good long video. 15 minutes later, flavor text.
Yeah.
Flavor text.
I have to pull it out.
I love it, though. I love it. I love everything you've been doing.
And so the organization that we're highlighting, the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, I already touched on it a bit, but I know them in two regards. First off, I believe they're going to be Oh, if I could.
Yeah.
They're gonna be the pink ribbon that you see throughout the world. Because they have been the highest rated and the most successful research foundation. Let's see. My favorite part of the videos are the flavor text, except when they're in French. Look, I've never claimed to be a French. Yeah, that's a recent one. I'm sorry. I tried. At least we made people laugh. That's if I can't read French, I can at least make people laugh at me attempting to do so. But the foundation itself is the highest rated. The highest rated and the most successful when it comes to funding. And what they specifically do with their funds is they invest in grant research. So they sponsor, I think since they founded, it's to the tune of maybe 500 million or something like that, research programs in doctors across the globe who are doing specific research into breast cancer. And the interesting thing about medical research and cancer as a type is research across the board helps the industry and community. You know, specific research is targeted to a specific problem, but breast cancer is one of those things that because it metastasizes and because it spreads and because it impacts so many different people in so many different ways, research still helps either way. But one of the cool things that they've been talking about, one of the things that I was watching some videos about where research has gone, is nowadays we're able to take certain types of breast cancer that back in the day would have been a death sentence because we didn't know how to deal with it, and actually convert that cancer type into a new type or a new diagnosis of cancer that actually has a treatment program or a actionable plan behind it. And so the research has been working. The research is what kept my mom around for 7 years instead of 1. That is what will create lasting and real impacts on kind of human life across the board. And so there's a few different ways you can support them. You can donate directly to them, of course, but then they also host community events and organizations and fundraising opportunities. And then they also partner with a variety of other organizations. And so even something as simple as picking up the pink version of your favorite drink, or the pink socks over the black socks, right? There's a lot of opportunities where your money can, even if you're spending it in a normal way, can be redirected or repurposed to go towards that foundation. And it's not all of it. Of course, $1 donation is going to go farther than buying a pink Red Bull. But if you don't have the capacity to directly donate, then there are ways that you can pay attention to and share and invest in the communities around you. It doesn't always have to be direct financial support. And that's one thing that's important to encourage for all the stuff that Chris is doing. I mean, Chris doesn't have the money to do $10,000 donations to every person that comes in this show. It'd be awesome if he did.
I wish I could.
We'll get there one day.
Yeah.
But part of what your site is about, one of the things that's so special and important to your heart is figuring out a way to highlight and lift up and add actionable voices to the charities, to the things that people are impacted by and the things that people care about. And people oftentimes underestimate how valuable a single direct connection is. That's one of the big things that you're doing, right? I don't need to be talking to 20,000 people to make an impact. I need to be talking to you, right? And then when I go down the street, I need to be talking to the person that I'm next to at that moment. That's how we create change and impact and make the world a better place. If everyone took a moment to focus on the person that was right next to them immediately, instead of 10,000 people that are doing whatever they do or don't like across the world, immediately the world would be better. So
I appreciate those kind words, sir. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, cancer has been an interesting topic in our house.
Yeah.
So, you know more than most of these people.
Sure.
So, yeah. Cancer took the life of my mom, took the life of my in-laws. Yeah, it's crazy, but there's great organizations like this, like the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, where you can go onto that link, click it, and make a difference. Of course, I'm going to recommend the one thing that we recently went through, which is for women, make sure you go for your mammograms.
Oh, and I have a note about that.
Yeah.
My mom knew something was off before she was diagnosed, and potentially could have been if the doctors had the technology to catch it earlier. or had paid a little bit more attention to a young woman, because she was younger. I believe she passed away in her early to mid 30s, and so when it comes to going to get checked and feeling something is different about your own body, like that is a big element of our story, because it was stage 4 by the time they caught it, and she'd been feeling off for a significant period of time before that. And so there's no telling how the story could have ended, or how the story might be different. It might not be, but it doesn't change the fact that you should pay attention to yourself. You should get yourself checked. It is important to do so.
Yeah, I mean, right now,
and men and women.
Yes, men and women. Men can get it too. Men can get it too. But yeah, for those of you who are not aware, my wife recently went in for a mammogram and ultrasound. They found a mass, and they're going to be doing surgery next week. And the surgeon hopefully thinks it's benign, but it's nerve-wracking. So, but yeah, that's the reason why these organizations exist. So, to help out in these situations, because I don't know what the hell to do. I don't.
Sure.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's so true. Allison, yes, do it. I know you're hearing this from 2 guys, but we're 2 guys who have been impacted. My mother also had breast cancer, went into remission, and the cancer seeped back into her bone. She had to go through research at Duke and Cleveland Clinic and stuff.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I see. I don't know that it invalidates it because it's 2 guys, and then I also don't know that there's enough people talking about it across the board. So you know, why not? I've got it tattooed on me. I feel like I can talk about it a little bit.
I think it's important to talk about these things. I mean, it's both of our moms' labors of love.
If I'm going to be honest, I don't do it a lot. Like I said at the very beginning, like this is sort of weird for me. I do not take the time to think about, focus on, or talk about, this element that much, because it does hurt, and I'm older now. So like there's been some space, and I've been able to process, and I'm able to see that life is full of moments, and all I have is sort of what I've been given. Right. And I'm okay with that. Like it's not this open wound, but it doesn't mean that reflecting on it isn't still painful.
Oh, you still feel it like it was the day. And you still feel it like, I remember exactly what I was doing at the moment when I got the phone call, sophomore year of college, just got done sledding down on mattresses. Yes, mattresses on a mountain in the snow.
They make excellent sleds.
Oh, they're great. But getting that phone call, as soon as I walked into my dorm room, getting the call, noticed that my dad had tried to call me multiple times. Got that phone call. I broke down. I still feel it. I feel it to this day.
Sure.
And I know that you feel it like it was yesterday as well. Because we know what it was like. We have people that we love that have left us.
Sure.
So, sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, like I invited a heavy subject that is personal to both of us. It doesn't and we would both do, I would do anything across the board to have another hour to read another chapter, right? Like that's always
so true.
That's always the stance.
But
that being said, why do you like board games? I don't know. Let's change.
One thing I want to say though. One thing I want to say is I think
I was trying to help us. I was trying to throw a lifeboat out there.
But in truth, look at Jesse. Look at the person that he is and how that love shaped him. I would say the same thing. My mother shaped me into being this giant nerd who cares. And she is the reason why the Charity Board Gamer is really what it is. Why it's becoming more the thing that it's become. But we have stories to tell. You all have stories to tell. And we want you to continue being able to tell your stories. So we want these things, these organizations like the Breast Cancer Research Foundation to survive and to thrive and to grow and to build and to research. So these things don't happen to other parents.
Sure. Now's when I'm supposed to come up with something really creative and inventive to say. I know.
It's what it is, brother. Yeah, so we're going to be playing board games later. That's what it is. This is my heart. This is your heart. I love you enough to have these conversations. So, sorry.
You're all right. I'm not allowed to cry. I don't have any tissues around me. It'd become an absolute mess. I'd have to wipe my face with this duck, which would be very awkward. It's not what the ducks are made for, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. Don't leave the ducks. Don't leave the ducks at the house if they're snot covered, please.
This is going to change the entire context for ducks that I hand out around conventions or to friends or anything like that.
But yeah, this is our heart. This is what we're about. And I'm so thankful for you as a friend, just to be able to have these conversations. Let's talk about draft.
I was going to say, talking about being friends, I need to come back up sometime soon to dip into some draft root beer, because we successfully did that the first time. Now, for context, you live directly on the route from me to go pick up Jan in Washington, D.C. and bring him back to Kentucky. You are literally like 3 blocks away from the interstate that I drive through in West Virginia, about 4 hours from my house. And I got a chance to swing by, sleep on your couch, see your family, play some games. Is the duck charity? It might be, Amanda. It very well might be. I'm open to start an entire breed of ducks designed specifically to be fluffy enough to allow you to wipe away your tears. That's something Quackalope can stand for. Allison, it is a heavy subject. And it's one we wanted to bring up because clearly it is directly tied to both of us, and I don't think guys are very good at talking about things that are directly tied to them.
Emotions suck. Oh my gosh, do they suck sometimes.
Like I said, I don't invite this. This is the first time I've had this conversation online, and I do not invite this conversation often. And I did it because I trust Chris, right? I wouldn't have brought in.
You trust me? What the crap's wrong with you? No,
because like I was saying, I visited you. We were able to go out. We had pizza.
Oh my gosh!
Our family in a quarantine zone. Yes. Very, very specifically 6 feet apart from anyone and everyone. It was a very romantic table. We had pizza. We got some incredible ice cream and gelato. But most importantly, we had some fantastic draft root beer, and we discovered that we both have a passion for quality root beer.
That is some of the best root beer. I hadn't even had it. I lived here, I don't know, since 2013.
What is that store? What's that parlor's name down in West Virginia?
Pies and Pints.
Okay.
And they messed up on one of our pizzas. We got a third pizza because of their mess up, which was so good. That Italian pizza was
the third pizza was potentially the best out of the 2 we'd order, which shows our decision making skills. Right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Potato skin pizza.
It was good.
I love that pizza. So,
that is your favorite.
Yeah, but I like it only if it's gluten free, because something about the egg style crust that they use, it's fluffy enough and it's not too flat, and the mashed potatoes just balance it really well. And the bacon, oh my gosh, the bacon, so good.
So that root beer was a homemade, like in-house draft root beer specifically, and it was absolutely delicious. Oh, but if we're talking more accessible, more name brand root beers, I've got a list of 9 right here that I want to present to you and see where you fall on the root beer spectrum. Okay, and I believe I have tried all but one of these root beers.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
I've got A&W. I've got Barks or Barq's, whatever it is. I never say that out loud. I just read it and pick it up.
Yeah.
I've got Dad's root beer.
Okay.
Have you tried that one? That's the one I haven't tried.
Dad's is not too bad. Is not too bad. It's nothing to it's not worth.
You're not going to write home about it?
I'm not going to write home about it, but
you'll drink it.
Yeah, I'll drink it.
I've got Goose Island, IBC, Mug, Sussex City, Spreacher, and Stewart's.
Stewart's.
In that lineup, what are you going to take off the shelf?
Okay, so I have to say, one of my favorite things growing up as a kid was going to the IGA, which was a grocery store there.
We had one right next to us.
Yeah, and so we would go in there, and it would be one of those things where like my dad or my mom would pick up one of those little 4-pack bottles or 6. I think they were 6-pack bottles or 6 bottles of the IBC root beer.
Ah, yeah,
and that was so good. I think that was always one of my favorites. I've never had Goose Island.
And that one specifically advertises as being paired with root beer floats. IBC and vanilla ice cream is like a staple of my childhood.
Oh, but if you have ice cream, you got to have a nice vanilla bean ice cream. Have you ever had
100%.
Like Breyers
you need little black dots throughout it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because with a Breyers vanilla ice cream, for some reason, when you pour the root beer on, you could break it up, but it almost has like a crystallization that goes around the outside of the ice cream.
That is the key. You're 100% right, because what you want is you want a spoonful that is both root beer and ice cream, and then you get that little bit of frozen glass in between. I'm glad we're on the same page on this. Now,
yeah, it's so good.
What's going to be your go-to though? Because you said IBC has some fond memories, but does that nostalgia bring it to the top of the list?
IBC is so good. There's the other root beer though that I think has been a staple in our family, and it truly has stood the test of time. Has to be A&W. A&W, surprisingly enough, for us as a family. I mean,
it's consistent. You always know what you're getting, and I think for me, A&W in terms of mass market is going to be my favorite root beer. It's not quite as spicy as some of your others, but it is also it is also for me right in the middle of what a root beer could or should be. They don't experiment, right? Root beer's got a lot of different flavors in it. It's got vanilla, it's got honey, it's got this like you can have this weird twist of
flavor sometimes.
You have an anise flavor. You can have a weird twist of a spearmint in there if you go to like the wintergreen type of root. So A&W is safe, but it is for me
it is safe. Yes,
I still think that Spreacher for me is going to be the best quality out of this list, out of this 9. You've got to try it. I'm going to have to bring you some.
Bring some.
They're a little bit more experimental. They dip it in a little bit more into the spice and a little bit more into what I think is like a honey flavor.
There was this. Now, I used to get just plain old sarsaparilla. Now, sarsaparilla.
That is something you have to learn to like.
Yes. But if you get the right type of sarsaparilla with not the overbalance of anise, but you have that nice sweetness to it.
I'm always willing to try it. I still have not figured out how to like sarsaparilla yet.
What about a birch beer? Have you ever done birch beer?
I like a birch beer.
Yeah.
But that is I cannot drink a whole bottle of birch beer. I'm talking like a sample cup, and I'll work on it for a little while.
See, Boylan's has a good root beer. Boylan's, Boylan. Yeah, they have a good root beer, which is pretty decent. Frisbee is like a cheapy root beer, which is perfect.
Frisbee.
Yeah, Frisbee's good. Trying to think what else. But yeah, you know what? If we said right now mainstream A&W because it's consistent, IBC.
I have A&W in the fridge right now. I'm not going to argue with you on it.
Yeah, and then I'd have to say then it would be IBC root beer just because of the nostalgia, the flavor, the taste. Great with root beer floats.
IBC is my go-to with root beer floats. It's something about that flavor profile, and also pouring it out of a glass bottle just feels a little bit more rewarding. You feel like you're doing something. So
you get a frosted mug, get the ice cream, and then slowly pour, and then you of course get some.
You got to get the foam off, because you want to fill it up, but that foam is going to race you to the top.
Hold on, let's see here. Let's see. IBC has the same nostalgia. Yes. And
absolutely.
On that.
I'm not sure what Amanda's agreeing with, but I feel like it's everything we've all said. Yeah.
Yes. And then I don't like the spicy root beers.
Man, I'd agree, Allison.
Yep. And then I'm a Barks root beer girl. See, now Barks Barks and Mug I have had issues with because Mug is trying to be
Mug's a little spicier than I like.
Yeah. I think it's trying to be something that it cannot be, which is a good root beer. I think that mug. I'm sorry, mug is just not a root beer that. If somebody said, "Hey, pour me a glass of root beer," and they brought mug, I'd be like, "Pour it yourself. I'm not giving you that."
So what you're saying? Solid dog, pour root beer.
Yeah,
because clearly still a good boy. Now she also mentioned small batch, and this is not to snub on small batch. I will try a small batch, and I have had better experiences with small batch across the board. Like our first story was that.
Yeah.
But it is harder for us to label and talk specifically about them because usually they're unnamed single restaurant like experiments.
Oh, yeah. That root beer was. We should have gotten a pitcher after we both had our glass of root beer. I think we realized that we should have gotten a pitcher, but we got a pitcher.
And here in Henderson, Kentucky, there is a brewery because in Kentucky there's so many different great distilleries and breweries that experiment with bourbons and whiskeys and all of that. So over in Henderson, Kentucky, about 3 hours away from me, on the border between Kentucky and Indiana, there's another brewery that does a hard root beer, a small batch hard root beer, and I couldn't find the name to them, but I'll have to text my friend. And they produced a small batch that was such a good root beer on its own that we didn't even notice we were drinking, which means it was very dangerous.
And see, that's when you know it's good. Because so many places try to make those like dad's root beer. I'm like,
I'm really? not your dad's root beer. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Horrible. I mean, if you like cough syrup, by all means, get it. But yeah, I mean, if you want a good root beer, like a draft root beer, come down here to West Virginia. Get some draft root beer at the pizza place that we went. Have a slice, have a piece of pie. It's so good. And I mean, they had some beers and stuff there. I think you got an IPA. What did you get? An IPA? Or what did you get?
Yeah, I had a sour.
Okay, that's right.
Which was nowhere near as good as the root beer. After you ordered the root beer, I immediately asked for that. So
I was like, "Yeah, I'll take a root beer." And you're like, "What?"
What do you mean there's small batch root beer here? I just ordered a beer. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it went perfect with the pizza too, which was surprising because for flavor profile, you want to have something that balances when you have something that's like a heavier meal, like we had street corn, we had Italian, we had meat and potatoes on a pizza. Those are all kind of heavier in flavor profiles. And then that root beer was light enough and refreshing enough that it didn't sit.
Sure.
It didn't sit at all. And
so one last note on the root beer thing, and then I don't know how long we have, but I want to pick your brain on board games just a little bit. So
all right.
on the root beer thing, if people have not been to A&W, the restaurant itself, swing by and get what they call a blended root beer float. That is going to be soft serve ice cream, A&W root beer blended up into a almost milkshake.
Yeah.
You can drink it through a straw, but it is the perfect. It is that moment that you wait for root beer floats to get to, that perfect consistency.
It's so rare to find them anymore because
I've got one like a mile away from my house.
I am jealous of you right now.
Well, come visit me and maybe you'll get some root beer.
We will. You know I will.
All right.
We've got to play that out.
So here's one thing I want to pose to you. So we're currently working on a podcast called the Weekly Quack with Board Game Co. Mm-hmm. And one of the two, we have two main segments in that podcast. The first segment is to shelf or sell, where we all bring in a game, we set it on the table in front of everyone that is either leaving our collection or joining our collection permanently for the time being. And then the second segment is going to be sort of an on the radar style thing where we're talking about something we're currently excited about, whether it's a new game coming out or a Kickstarter that just launched or something. So I'm going to throw you on the spot here, but I'm curious, what is a game that recently is either finding a home in your collection or is potentially leaving your collection?
See,
and you're not prepared for this, so my apologies. Or just talk to me about a favorite. That also works.
I'll tell you one that that our family's enjoying has been a game called Bank Heist. Next time you come down, we got to play that.
Okay.
But it's basically we're robbing a bank.
Oh, we played that together.
Did we play Bank Heist?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did. We did
because one of your kids crushed me. No, one of your kids worked together with me and got the victory for both of us, as far as I remember.
You both were cops, weren't you?
No, we were both. We were both on the other team.
Okay,
we were rivals. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we played that game. That game is one that I think our family has loved. I think every game night that we have had in the past where we were able to have like a big game night. If I was there, the first question is, did you bring Bank Heist? And I used to have like the prototype copy that the people made. They came to our Extra Life events and just kind of became friends. And then they sent me a copy, and we love it. It's just one of those fun games that has a little bit of deduction, not a crazy amount.
Sure.
Has a little bit of deduction where we're kind of not sure who's who. You've got some crew members robbing the bank. You've got possibly a rival or two in there. You might have an agent who's trying to stop you from robbing the bank. And then if there's a chance that you all end up in the getaway vehicle, the bullets start flying, and it just kind of.
You got shot like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I think I was the cop, wasn't I? I don't remember. Yeah, I was the cop.
I didn't make it. Well.
No, I didn't have a chance to even arrest anybody. I think I got shot in my bulletproof vest, returned fire, and then after I returned fire, next person came up, boom, I was out of the game. Because the agent's role is specific. You cannot fire unless you've been fired upon. And that's kind of a nice thing about the game. It's very fitting. And of course, you have that bulletproof vest to protect you from at least one bullet. So it's one of those fun games where I loved it. I love this game. The kids love it. I think it's one that this one will be permanently on the shelf. And whenever we can get it out at a game night, it will be either what we start the game night with or what we will finish the game night with, because it doesn't take long to play either.
Yeah, it's a little social deduction party game, and party games really are not my typical category. Like I don't go seeking them out. However, playing with your family where we're all just sitting around, it's all about connecting. It's what they picked. You also taught me Pandemic for the very first time, which was fun and ridiculous because we lost so effectively.
Oh, it was horrible. There were so many epidemics that came out, and my wife, I think my wife asked me, "Did you even shuffle the deck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I did." Yeah. But yeah, it was bad.
And then along with that train of thought around that podcast that we're getting started, is there something right now on your radar that you are excited about? Have you been following along with industry news, with any games that are coming out? Do you have something that maybe isn't brand new, but you have it on the way?
You know, there's nothing that really stands out. A lot of industries, they come out with these games and they sound awesome and everything, but I've learned in my own way to be content with the games that we are given and that we're sent. And I think what's nice is when you get to play something that everybody else has talked about in the past, and it finally comes to your table and you have a lot of fun playing it. The one that I'm super excited
Pandemic for me. That was the first time I'd ever driven into it.
The one that I'm excited about playing, and it was sent to me recently, and we're going to take time to play it as a family.
Oh, all right.
So this one I've been excited about. I had a chance to play it at a game store, and it was sent my way. And the idea is there's 5 of us in the family. If you can make a game that is fun, cooperative, that's 5 players available, or you have a game that's 5 players available, they usually go fairly well with us. And cooperative is very good because the way that we look at it is we're not competing. There's no fighting. There very little do we ever quarterback, which I hear about that a lot in co-ops, and I've seen it happen.
It's all about your game group. I mean, you're a family. You're just hanging out and working together. Same thing with my game group. We don't quarterback because it's all about the experience of being together. And for the game groups that are concerned about someone quarterbacking specifically, find some people to play with. I mean, you know,
if you have somebody trying to be the alpha gamer, whoops.
We've lost headphones. Continue the conversation. Continue being entertaining, Jesse. Immediately. Show a duck, quick.
I think the one thing is when you have somebody that's like an alpha gamer who is just trying to run the whole show, it can ruin the fun real quick, especially when you're playing something like a cooperative game.
But
because in a cooperative game,
in the space, I have few and far between have I found an alpha gamer, and very quickly I've redefined my game group to play without them. I don't, you know, but again, that isn't as far, like it is an issue, but as far as my experience in the community has been, it is oftentimes not not the point when people are coming together.
Mhm.
I love this space because of the people that we have in it.
That is so true.
And you're always going to have a few bad eggs in every coop.
You just
But
gotta
we
find ways. You gotta find
have
ways.
more good. Well, we have more good ducks than bad eggs.
Yeah, and when you have those bad eggs, you got to find ways, or you got to maybe find the games where they're not going to be in those situations where they're going to act that way.
Sure.
And I think that's a big thing. So you find those party games where it's more fun. It's maybe not cooperative. Maybe it's more competitive and just having a good time doing that versus the co-op where they're trying to run the show, yet they may not even know the rules.
What's got you excited about Power Rangers? I know Jan had that one at one point, and he really enjoyed it quite a bit. And so I've never had a chance to actually sit down and play with it.
I like the fact that my kids are being able to enjoy this series. They're loving that. We had a chance to meet the person who I'm trying to David. Was it David Franks? I don't remember his name. He plays Tommy on the Power Rangers, the Green Ranger. He played Tommy Oliver. Is that right, Tommy Oliver?
I'm not gonna know any names you point out to me.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to think.
I'd forget my own if it wasn't attached to me.
Jason David Frank, really amazing person, really nice guy. I think it's just that idea that the kids were able to watch something that I can sit down. It's cheesy as can be, but it's just enjoyable family time, where it's basically they take the kaiju type idea versus these Power Rangers and just have fun. But I love the idea of playing a co-op game with my family. That's really what it comes down to. And I've played it before, and I know that after playing it before, that this is a game that I know my family will enjoy because we're playing together. We will lose many, many times, but we'll still have fun doing it. Mm-hmm. Like we love Thanos Rising, and we love Death Eaters Rising. The Rising mechanic by the Op has been just phenomenal. And we play just different games where we just kind of enjoy helping each other out. Like, okay, hey, if you go over there, I'll come over and I'll help you out with fighting this guy. It's like, okay, that sounds good. Hey, while I'm over there, do you want me to bring this with me? Maybe I'll bring this token, or I'll bring this action and something of that nature. Those discussions happen with the kids. Mm-hmm. That is a great feeling because they're young, they're siblings. Siblings have rivalry, but when they get along and they have fun doing it, you want to continue encouraging it. So that's why those co-op games are so much fun. Of course, they love playing competitively because they love to find ways of defeating me in games, which is good.
Which we did successfully.
Oh, yes. I think, yeah, but those cooperative games just make it a different experience where you can just sit down, relax. You're not going up against each other. Instead, you're working together as a family to go up against a big baddie. You might lose the battle, but at least you had fun. Like when we did Thanos Rising, that was one of the big ones that we enjoyed as a co-op as a family when we first got it. We bought it at our local game store, and we took it to a game night, and we had somebody else teach a copy, and then we bought another copy to just give away at our local church and have fun with it. So we gave away a copy, but we just kind of had fun just playing games and enjoying that time. And Elijah got the little 5th player thing that the Op sent to us, so we could all play as a family of 5. And so he was on Team Thor, and I was on Team, I don't remember. I think it was Team Captain America. Daniel was Team Black Panther. Abigail was Team Guardians of the Galaxy. Beth was whoever the other person was. I think Doctor Strange. And we all just kind of worked together, and we beat Thanos. And it felt great. We won the game. It was great. And then we've played it other times, and we've lost horribly. And we've played Death Eaters Rising, and we haven't won it yet. Mm-hmm. But we enjoy it. And Hogwarts Battle is another game that we've enjoyed as a family because it's Harry Potter. The kids have read the books. They understand the books. They love it. Then they got to watch the movies after reading the books. And now we just we enjoy this time. That's really what it's about, is taking the time as your family to enjoy each other's company. In cooperative games like Power Rangers, like Thanos Rising, like Pandemic, there's no stress. The stress might come in the fact that you're going to lose against the bad guy, but you're not going to lose to your family member. There's not going to be bad blood at the end of the day.
And then they'll turn into teenagers, and you'll start playing head-to-head combative games. And
they're already doing that with me.
I know they are. My grandfather will not play Catan with our family because specifically how head-to-head my aunt, uncle, and I decide to go. Also, Jocelyn had no interest in playing Catan with us because we just enjoyed crushing the other person.
It's Catan, however way you say it. I know in Canada you say it.
I'm from Kentucky, so I say Catan.
Yeah, I think I say Catan. I don't know, but it's tomato. But it's something great about that game that it's fun to play, and there's that fun. I think the thing I like about that game a lot is the fact that you're negotiating and I'll trade you this for that. Then it starts to get closer to you getting to those points, and then it's like, I'll trade you this for that. It's like, no, I'm going to take away your longest road and I'm going to end your game.
That's the one issue I have with it is you can know you're out of the run-in about midway through that game. Like if you know the game well enough, you can see the writing on the wall.
Oh yeah.
But that being said, there is usually 2 people in a 4-player game that are having the best time they've ever had. So
now I like the Cities and Nights expansion. We only have the base game.
Okay.
Which I need to get the expansion so we can play 5 players. But we need to get Cities and Nights too. But Cities and Nights, we played that expansion at a church game night. Somebody has the expansions for it. And it's so much fun because I think it makes it possible for people to do more on their turn and have better chances of getting up there, which I like that because you can trade more things in and accomplish more. And those accomplishments kind of help you out towards future moves and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So I like that. Have you played it with the Cities and Nights?
I have not. We normally do base game without too much of an like my aunt owns all of the expansions and even has a custom little box to carry them around in. But we just always do base game.
Peyton is adorable. I have to say, Allison Peyton. That's who you need to do, Jesse. You need to go on and do Kid Talk with Peyton and Jared. Their kids.
I think sooner or later I got an email from them.
Okay.
I don't know when or if it's happening or after this mess of a podcast, whether or not it'll ever come to fruition. Hey, let me determine that.
Thanks.
But no, sooner or later, I'm really loving what they're doing. Their parents are both good quality videographers and know how to do some good quality media. And then the kids are experimenting and being part of the family. I just saw that they were playing Fort, which I am super excited to see their coverage of that.
Did you see the fort that they made?
I did. I also saw the rock that they painted. So as far as I'm concerned, they've got a head start on Quackalope, and sooner or later I'll be handing over the trophy to them. That's my. I really love what the family's doing in terms of, just in terms of being a family. Because at the end of the day, that is all this is. And if it stops being fun, or if it stops being something that brings them closer together, well, then I'm sure they'll adjust and redefine. But awesome.
Yeah, no,
they're the bunny trails. We've been on topic this entire time, I think.
I know. But yeah, we're going to play with them after this, which is, oh my gosh.
It's soon.
12 minutes from now. Is it 12 minutes? Cool. No, I can't add.
Well, math has never been your strong suit.
22 minutes, yeah. I mean, maybe that's the reason why I lose all the games to the kids. Math. What is that about? See, I won Tapestry, though, without exploring mathematics. I went heavy in exploration, heavy in I
have yet to win a game of Tapestry. And here's the thing: the rule book tells me that a good score is like 200 something, like 220, and I'm solidly in the 180s and cannot beat my own score.
See, I did 177. I did nothing but exploration and military, and I just made it up there, and that was so good. That was so good, and I did not explore mathematics at all.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, but no. But yeah, everybody, I want to tell you all thank you very much for coming on. If you want to join us a little afterwards, we're going to be playing Medium. If you want to, I know for the people that are going to be on the stream, we're going to have pads of paper and pens with us to play.
Do I need a pad of paper and a pen?
Yeah, you need a pad of. I told you this before, and don't you dare. But yeah, pad of paper and a pen. We're going to play. You can join us in the chat. It's going to be on Twitch. Keep score for yourself and have fun with us. We're going to be playing it in a virtual setting where you can do the same thing. If one of you has a copy of the game, you can join in on Zoom with your family or friends and be able to play this in this way. And it's something that Ken Franklin introduced to us when we did a game night with him. So, yeah, I am super excited just to be able to have this fun time with you, of course. It's just like, it's like sitting by a fire, relaxing, just enjoying a nice time. But
ridiculous.
Seriously, I know, I'm crazy.
I'm gonna make myself a root beer float. Find a pen and a pad of paper, and I'm gonna be ready to either win with you or defeat you.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it's gonna set up yet. But.
I'll probably for the most part of the game, I'll probably be the moderator because I'm going to
then I can't do either of the things I was hoping to do.
I know. You won't be able to beat me at all. I'll just feel good about myself afterwards. No, but come join us. Have some fun on Twitch. It's going to be twitch.tv/thecharityboardgamer.
You're going to be spamming links all over the place.
I'm not going to go crazy with it. I have a hard time spamming stuff.
We'll post a link for people to follow.
I'll put it right here. Twitch.tv.
There you go.
The Charity Board Gamer. Boom.
Boom.
See, is that doing it? I don't know if it's doing it. Yep, there it is. See, right there. Join us on there in a little bit. We're going to have some fun. 8:30. Jesse's going to go make a root beer float. I'm probably going to get a quick snack or something to drink. I didn't get any root beer today, so I think I need some root beer. I'm going to have to go out to the store tomorrow and get some. I totally forgot that. But I'll probably just get some water from the Berkey. So,
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, we'll see you all in a little bit. Thank you all for coming. Jesse, once again, thank you. Everybody have a great night. And remember, if we can gather at a table to have fun playing a game, we can do the same for a great cause. So, see you all later. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Anytime.